Greetings to you all. You're welcome once again to Everything Mental, where we discuss mental wellness at the workplace and beyond. Yes, so today we are honored to have a guest, a very, very prominent person in this town, and his name is Dr. Peter Ngategize, and I will request him to introduce himself before we dive into our topic today. Yeah, you're welcome, Mr. Peter.
Thank you very much.
Peter, we are honored to have you today.
And Peter is okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
You're
Alan.
welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. As mentioned, my name is Dr. Peter Ngategize, and Ngategize is complex to some people, but generally it's an easy name. You kuteza either ears, matu, or eyes, or even hops. And if you are a cow, you kuteze mahembe. So simple, Peter Ngategize, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Peter. Yes, so for our viewers, today's topic is retirement through the journey of retirement and within just before retirement and through the journey of retirement. Yes, we know retirement is something that is a bit sensitive to people. Retirement planning is something that we cannot run away from to everyone who is at the workplace. So join me today as we talk about retirement at the workplace, retirement from the workplace. So, Dr. Peter, kindly walk us through your journey to retirement and through it all.
Thank you very much. I think a few of the facts is I retired from public service from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, December 2021. So basically I have done 4 years in retirement, and that was after 22 years at the ministry. And for anybody who has been in employment, those are quite a number of years. So to adjust from that is a process. But I hasten to say that retirement had always been on my mind, basically since 1990, early 1990, when I returned to Uganda after 10 years of absence. I went to the US June 6, 1980. For those Ugandans, you know 1980 when it was, we had many transitions to go and do my master's in the US, where I did a master's and a PhD, and after that I went to Ethiopia for a postdoctoral program with the International Livestock Center for Africa, and I returned basically mid-1990. So ever since, just into Uganda, into the civil service, which I basically did mainly as a consultant rather than a typical civil servant pensionable, the element of retirement was always at the back of my mind. And as I will mention later, some of the investments I did when I was still employed were pointing towards a time that I knew I would be out of full-time employment and basically depending on my own activities and projects rather than on a monthly salary.
Wow. So this is something you had earlier prepared for. You didn't wait for the notice, oh, now next year I'm retiring, so now I need to start planning. You didn't get in that panic mode, did you?
Well, the interesting part about my employment is that, as I said, when I came in 1990, I came to return into the university, Makerere University, which university is the one which had sent me to do masters in agricultural economics. So I returned to become a senior lecturer at Makerere University in the Department of Agricultural Economics, and I started teaching. Then with the time, there was an interest in me at Bank of Uganda because government was undertaking reforms, parastatal reforms. If you recall, Coffee Marketing Board, Produce Marketing Board, Lint Marketing Board. And through the support of World Bank, they had set up in Bank of Uganda a unit called the Agricultural Policy Secretariat, and it was undertaking reforms. So within literally months of being at the university, I was invited by a presidential advisor to join a team at the Secretariat of Bank of Uganda, Agricultural Policy Secretariat, to support coffee reforms. So there was a coffee monitoring unit, and I went there as a deputy head of the unit to support the process of reforming the coffee sector in the country. And that basically broke me off from a typical public service role. Had I stayed at Makerere, it would have been an interesting process. So I believe by 1991 mid, I was forced to resign. I couldn't support Bank of Uganda in the reform process to work full time at Bank of Uganda. Then from there, we created the Coffee Development Authority. So to break away from the Coffee Marketing Board, the parastatal, we created an authority which would oversee the regulatory and development functions of the sector, and we privatize coffee marketing. So get to license new coffee exporters. And so that agency now took me off into UCDA, a new institution, where I went as the head of the coffee research and development department. And within, I believe, about 3 years, I was yet again in a reform to set up an independent coffee research center for the coffee sector. The dynamics about reforms in the coffee industry were such that instead of keeping coffee research with Kawanda under the National Agricultural Research Organization, there was an imperative arising from studies about other countries like Costa Rica and others, that the research of the sector could actually be, the research function and development function could function basically together and depend on financing of a cess, which is like a tax on exports, to be able to be used to manage the research and development functions of the coffee sector. So I went into the coffee development, the coffee research center at Chituza. I was the first director, 1996, I believe. And while there, to cut a long story short, there was a process, another reform process, the plan to modernize agriculture, PMA, those who may remember, 1998 to 2000. And I was invited into Ministry of Finance to become the resource person for the design of the program to reform or to modernize the agricultural sector. Subsequently, on an annual basis, I was kept at the Ministry of Finance to support reforms. I was literally an advisor to implement the plan to modernize agriculture. Then I became also a technical person on the private sector development programs of the country. And I ended up in 2021 when I was the head of the private sector development unit at the Ministry of Finance, which is a unit that still advises the ministry on private sector development issues, how to reduce cost of doing business, how to minimize the burdens of regulation, taxation, regulations, reducing cost of the business, costs like around transportation, energy, employment, etc., which was an interesting job.
Wow, very great CV you've got, Dr. Peter. Yes, so we are saying Dr. Peter has shared his background, what the positions he's had before, what he's done before, the different boards he's been a part of, and the startups he's been part of as first director, as the chairperson. But still, at the end of the day, all those had to come to an end. Yes, they are tenure based, so they had to come to an end. Yes, so Dr. Peter, how has been the journey from that identity of all those titles? Because these are big titles that we are talking about. So all those titles, now that you're no longer part of all that, have you felt like you've lost identity? Do you feel like you're still knowledgeable enough to be consulted from all these different sectors, from agriculture, private sector, the banking industry? What has been the journey like?
Maybe I will take you back if you don't mind. So like when we privatized the export of coffee from Coffee Marketing Board, which had a dominant role in the sector, I was involved in the licensing of the first private sector people, exporters. Chagaranyi coffee you have had and others. Now I was observing people getting into the dollar economy, getting money, and on surface actually getting rich, driving new cars. Then the discovery was a new car. So in that process that I was encouraged in, yes, I was privy, but I knew coffee had its own big risks. So I also started a side job of coffee, of maize trading, and I got a contract to supply Uganda world, the World Food Program, Food Program, WFP Food Program, World Food Program, and that contract of about I think 1,000 tons, I served like half of it. Then later prices went up and I couldn't complete the contract. That was a huge lesson I learned.
Yes.
The lesson I learned was like, wait a minute, if you do two things, one will suffer. Because prices went up beyond what I had contracted, and I suffered that consequence. Similarly, I was involved in the reforms where government allowed private people to invest in tree planting on central forest reserves. So when the National Forest Authority was set up in the early 2000s, I was around that process, being the Minister of Finance and responsible for reforms. And I got to know how land could be available for individuals like myself, somebody who comes from Kavale where land is limited, to find an opportunity of accessing like 100 hectares to plant trees. So I started tapping into those things a little bit early, including learning hard lessons about serving two masters, like the export of maize. So, but for the trees, it was easier. I accessed land in 2000, I think, and 3, and started trying to plant trees on this land. So as gradually, and several things, Alan, if you talk about retirement, considerations. The job I was having required was intense. You are part of the Presidential Investors Roundtable, PRT, preparing papers and reporting, basically every 6 months, preparing your ministers to report to the President about reforms in the country. You are part of reforms across ministries. You are in Ministry of Finance, but you are undertaking reforms with the Ministry of Lands, with the Ministry of Justice on licensing and other things, with the Ministry of Tourism, and Minister of Agriculture. So you are running all over the place, trying to communicate reforms and to influence people. So it was a lot of work.
It's a lot. And this one you've already signed up to do.
And you are signed up
You're obliged
to you have to do it.
Yes.
And you are changing leaders. I had the privilege to work with the 5 ministers.
Wow.
I was advisor to Suruma 2005 when he came in. So 5 ministers, Honorable Sendaura, Honorable Bumba, and what have you. 4 permanent secretaries. Unfortunately, some have passed on. So it required a lot of work, and I'm not getting younger.
Yes.
So by the time I thought seriously about retirement, I was 66. And on an average, in Uganda's situation, if you are not lucky to be fairly healthy, 66 is quite an age, and working literally 7 to 7 or 9 quite can take a toll on you. So
mentally, physically,
and everything, and you also have children to visit once in a while. Some of my children were abroad, although the job would also give you an opportunity to do a few other things. So I think several things catalyzed my thought to retire. One, first of all, I lost some of my people I worked with closely. Late Governor Mutebire, who was permanent secretary when I joined Minister of Finance. Later, even when he was in Bank of Uganda, we worked closely across government issues. Then the late Keith Muhakanizi, whom I worked with closely as a friend and as a mentor, passed on. And then gradually, reforms were taking place. New faces were coming into the governance of the economy, and I can proudly say I was able to work closely with the current PSST, Dr. Ramazani Ngobi, for I think roughly 6 months, and unfortunately he's the one I had to write to and say, sir, at the end of my contract in December 2021, I won't be renewing it. Unfortunately, he accepted. So, into retirement, very quickly.
So, just a minute. There was a chance for you to renew the contract.
Yes.
But you chose to
terminate
it. Okay.
Not,
so
not many people.
Not many people do that.
So
that tells us that you were actually ready for retirement.
Yes, yes, you will never be perfectly ready, but I also had a reasonable assessment of my own energy and the demands to support the ongoing reforms with the new permanent secretary and the changing landscape of the economy. So it was also a judgment, not to say that I'm ready to go, but also to make a personal judgment and say, at this age and time, let me leave others and allow even the team to build up around the new permanent secretary. So it was dual age.
It takes a genuine and honest person to do that.
Genuine person to do that. Now, fast forward. So the ministry gives me a party at Serena on 7th January 2022. So my family, most members of my family are here. Some of my members still live abroad, but most were here. So it's January, and I'm retired. Now fast forward, early April, my wife, who used to suffer from knee pains and had gone to different hospitals, India, what have you, together to check up. Then she would say, let me wait. Finally, she decides to go through this operation at Kosu, on Chisubi, on Entebbe Road. So part of the privilege is I'm available, I'm free to be able to go check in, prepare for the operation and all that. And so the last moment, we go for the operation. The operation is successful, and we get a meal in the evening. And then the following day, when I'm doubting, do I go to hospital again? Everything is good, or do I go to check on my tree? Then I get a series of phone calls from a niece to my wife, and it's like, uncle come, and all that, and all that. What is this? I call a few people, and by the time I'm driving to the hospital, I've also gathered like 2 friends to go with, because the calling doesn't communicate positively. So April 5th, few months in my retirement, my wife passes on. So that starts another phase into the retirement.
Like
So
a
turmoil, because you are now adjusting to getting out of a driven car with a driver, monthly salary, 2 secretaries in the office and support staff, people calling you, your doctor or head PSDU. You are adjusting to a new life and going to the trees and all that. Bang. And for any person, that's something you are not prepared for. And I think for any retirement preparation, you can't prepare for everything.
No, you can't.
And I think what I can say outright, it is important to have that mental retirement. As I said, I had the mental retirement of saying, at this age and time, let me allow others to do work. So it wasn't something that I was saying, maybe I could go back. The easiest one could go back is part-time consultancy services and support. That remains an open opportunity, and it did. So otherwise, I think preparation is very important, but you won't prepare for everything.
For everything, and eventualities.
The best, I think, preparation I had is my investments in tree growing, because I find there about 3 good things about it. One, there is social capital. Like yesterday, we had a meeting of the circle of tree growers, and they reappointed me on the executive committee. So once in a while, you are a responsible person in a circle. Secondly, we set up a wood mill in Ruero. Then I'm also on the board of that wood mill. Then
How old is it, the wood mill?
We are basically, we have finished 1 year. Basically several months really, but we're in production, we are selling products. So again, you find activity. Walking through the trees is lighter and easier than saying I will go for golf or I join a hash group. So it becomes naturally, and you are enjoying looking at the trees. And also important is the trees I grow, eucalyptus and pine. Eucalyptus, you can sell your trees even at 2 years. So if you have trees at different ages, it is easy to convert them into trees, and especially when your plantation is near the road. So
what happened? What helped you to bounce back was now dive into agriculture.
basically, scaling up into the agricultural sector, you become more regular. You work on the value chain, get into a nursery operation so that you can sell seedlings, which also can generate some money beyond selling trees. And now I'm telling you, we have a circle, and we're also doing a wood mill. So along the value chain, you are busy and active. What helps is, as I said, sustained friends. And about 2 years ago, again, somebody comes to my house and says, Dr. Ngategize, there is a company which would like you to serve on its board. And fast forward, if I can mention, I chair a company, Uganda Exim Limited, with a portfolio of about $10 million, and we are supporting export of agricultural commodities in the country at a competitive interest rate, and that has got me back into my sector of agriculture, and also a sense of relevance. Yes. You know, if you are chairman of the board, who wouldn't want to be chairman of the board, irrespective of what remuneration it may bring, but it gives you relevance and reason to exist. Maybe, Alan, this may be the time to mention one or two books that I've published. In one of the books I have written, which I thought people would benefit from, The Mindful State to Better Life. One of the things I mentioned around retirement and all that are mainly 4 variables. That's another book. So this other book basically talks about 4 variables when you retire. First one is your health. You really want to stay healthy for many reasons. You can't be really happy if you're either sick in the hospital.
That is if you're lucky to make it to retirement in a healthy state.
In a healthy state.
Yes.
And when you are there, you even have a big obligation to stay healthy. Because inactivity, poor mindsets can drive you there very quickly. Lack of confidence. So, one is health. The second one is cash flow. So no more salary and allowances, predictable and all what. So watching, having some streams of cash flow coming to you is a very important thing to think about mindfully as you process your retirement. The third one is social capital.
Of course. You already mentioned the friend that came to you.
Along the road, along the way, make as many friends as you can in different aspects of life. Different aspects of life. The one that calls you back, or the one actually that may send you an allowance, 500,000 in the pocket, say, Doctor, you know, I've sent you something. Maybe the junior you could have mistreated.
While in the place of power.
While in the place of power. It could be a colleague that you worked with on a board or on a project. That
reminds me that while in places of power, we shouldn't look down on people, also our juniors, because after this workplace, there's going to be you without the workplace. But who are you outside that workplace?
That's correct. That's correct. And I have had the privilege in my recent engagements to find a junior person who reminds you, say, Doctor, I was your junior staff and you helped me pursue a degree in law. Or Doctor, we worked together and you were my first employer. From which I have progressed something else. Then there are the seniors. How you treated your ministers, the politeness, the delivery on the assignments they gave you. They're also the kind of people you want to meet and they say, hey, Doctor, what are you doing there? I think we should use you X, Y, and Z. So consciously to manage your social relations is very important. Then the fourth one, which most people may not either remember even now after discussion, is your personal worth, is your life's purpose. There has to be something
beyond the job,
beyond money and what have you, that you stand for, that you believe in,
about.
that you are passionate about, that literally, if I can say, on your deathbed, you'd want to wake up to do, to accomplish,
Your sense of
complete.
living, belonging.
Absolutely. So, very often people live in general happiness, but there is nothing they are working towards.
They forget the purpose.
And to realize that you are a unique human being with unique capabilities, even when you are replaced on the job, maybe some of your good attributes
Cannot be replaced.
can't be replicated or replaced. So it's good to stay conscious about those things, and at any opportunity. So for example, as I said, I was for 14 years at Centenary Bank as a member of the board of directors. So when you are no longer in Centenary Bank, you definitely got skills. The bank grew from a profit of 19 billion when I joined 2006 to, by the time I retired 2020, it was 177 billion, and now I think it's making profits of above 300 and so billion. So there is definitely something you learned on the way. Experience with the board members, with the staff, with the economy. So,
but for some people, they do not translate that experience to benefit their personal lives. They think it's supposed to be for the workplace.
to benefit your personal life, the companies you do, but also to benefit humanity. So you want to be always available to do like the Rotary people say, service beyond self. I think that's the word. I think that to me is something that some people at times miss off. They get obsessed and worried about their own things, and forget that society and humanity out there may be looking for what they may have that they can offer.
True. I agree. Yes, so now retirement has come.
Yes.
What happens after retirement? Now, yes, uh, Madame has passed on.
Yes.
God rest her soul. Now you've gotten into the trees. You're busy doing agriculture. How has life been with the agriculture journey? How do you envision yourself years from now?
Okay, so very quickly, as I get into that, the Madame passes on. My daughters are studying abroad, doing some work abroad. Within weeks and months, they are happy to return and live with dad. So that brings some stability at home. And so thanks to my daughters,
very beautiful daughters, I've met them.
Nara, Harrison, and Patience for bringing that stability in the home. Secondly, so I'm active on trees, and I get an opportunity even to expand on tree growing, because now I have more time. And again, thanks to my managers, Bruce, Sevius, and others that I work on it on. And then in between, as I've already said, these opportunities to serve on boards or to start on companies. So that does several things. One, keeps you busy, but also with some income streams that keep coming in away from the monthly income and support. Two, you are creating new friends around. And three, you are doing service. You are doing service. Maybe to mention two things. 2 years ago, we started a university, St. Ignatius University Kabale, Iguka in abbreviation, where I serve as on the council and as chairman of the appointments committee. So thank you very much. So that gives you a whole new purpose, but also you are building on your historical roles, whether when I was teaching in America, or Makerere University, or when we were working on Kabale University.
Yes.
So those are different things, and you have to allow life to evolve, really.
True.
To pray you are alive. The other day I
open-minded.
celebrated my 70th first birthday,
Oh,
and
happy belated birthday.
and thank you very much.
Yes.
And I'm moving on. I'm moving on, and by God's grace,
Yes.
I'm grateful
Wow.
for the life and the time I have had.
Amen. Yeah. So, how has your emotional and mental well-being been like post the workplace and pre? That's before retirement and during retirement.
You know, at the workplace, you are busy, your schedules are
There's a structure.
managed, there's a structure to it, the people you relate to, so it's a different ball game. And so mentally, the things you are reading about, the things you are studying are structured within your terms of reference. When you retire, that mental perspective changes, and you have a big role to decide what to do. So one of the things like I decided was to write my memoirs in the book called Obedience. But I also reflected back on my history and wrote stories about my mother in a book that is entitled Emigane. And then later I also thought I could help young people or even the old people who possibly haven't learned a little bit of the things I have benefited from, either by my religious background, and that's how I wrote the book, The Mindful State to Better Life. So it's an evolving process, less structured, more maybe
Turbulence.
turbulence,
Yeah.
but generally it has been beautiful because mentally, you know,
Relax.
you relax into it and live by the day and by God's grace. And grateful for the country's leadership that has sustained peace and stability around the country, which allows one to pursue different things and thrive. Yeah.
True. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So, in our conclusion remarks,
Yes.
what advice would you give to an employer out there or anyone managing workforce about retirement?
Well, there could be several things, but I think briefly what I can say, and I hope is already happening, employers should really be sensitive about these transitions. Maybe on a more serious thing. I have two friends who literally have lost their jobs like 3-4 months before retirement, a few months. Now, surely if you are an employer, why do you want to fire somebody
Terminate
a few months to retirement, to the age of
be
retirement?
patient with them.
So that's one perspective. Be patient with the people, find mechanisms of helping out. Then continuously or regularly provide those seminars and lectures. You have people like Patrick B. Tature who are willing to talk to people at different things about entrepreneurship and about
How to start your life
how to start your life.
after.
So I think this should be a regular process, even going to the level of even MPs in the parliament and what have you, because I have seen people, the moment you lose your position, then really it can drastically
Your life is in
lead you
shambles.
into shambles and early death. It's also important as an individual to also to take your own responsibility. You know better yourself, you know better your skills, your passions, and the environment you grow up in and you work with. So the best preparation is yourself. It's nice for institutions to have these programs and be sensitive to people's terminations around employment, and then the rest you leave it to God, because in many things neither the employer nor the employee controls many things that happen. The amount of rain the country brings and floods that can take place, the wars that could befall a country. So we also have to keep in mind God. And if you don't believe in God, you know there is universal intelligence. There is that beyond our own imagination that and understanding, that's a better word, that runs and prepares us in this human and plant and animal life that we live and experience.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for sharing. It's been a pleasure having you and sharing with us on retirement. I know retirement is such a very sensitive topic. We've shared just a pinch in the ocean, but we'll keep sharing more and more. So if you liked the discussion, please comment. How are you planning for your retirement? From Everything Mentor, we really advise you that you start planning early so that you do not get psychologically affected, emotionally and mentally affected for about retirement. Yes, so we urge employers to have sessions about retirement. Even when you have a young team, start talking about retirement. Start sensitizing people about retirement. That yes, this retirement can happen. Yes, even when you planned, there could be unplanned scenarios or situations that can still arise. Yes, you plan to probably have spend time now with your family. One family member passes on, something that you did not plan. Yes, so as employers, let us try to sensitize people about retirement. Much as we sensitize people about leadership, management, being team players, let us also get out there and enhance the skills of retirement, talk about retirement in all aspects, like a 360 lens of a life of a retired person, an individual. I think it would be one way of giving back to your employees, and it would be really good. And even you, the employer, the employee who is being talked to about retirement, don't say, oh, I am still young, I still have all the time. No, please listen, because it is inevitable, it will still happen. Listen and take action. When you take action early, you do not get frustrated emotionally, physically, mentally, so that even with the retirement coming your way, through the retirement, you still keep a sane mind. You'll still be working and functioning very well. Yeah, so we can't wait to see what you think about retirement, how ready you are for retirement. Please hit our comment section and share with us what you think about retirement and what have you so far planned about retirement. We have been Alan Sanyu from Everything Mentor. Bye.